Hi guys, this is Michael from the Boardgames Chronicle. Today I have a very special material for you. We already are in the early December and the Christmas time is quickly approaching. So when I create this video and write accompanying article, it is not a full month away. I hope this will be that part of the year during which you will be able to enjoy the time with your families and the great hobby we all share together, so the board games. To help you with this, I came with some suggestions for the Christmas presents. Now, what I plan and have in mind is presenting a selection based on the games released in 2024. Important condition, only those titles I personally had chance to play. Also, preferably not out of print, thus I'm always providing link where you can get the game. I'm fully aware that there are many other war and conflict themed titles which can be recommended. Unfortunately, I simply do not have the chance to play them all. There are simply too many releases across the world. Before jumping into the actual selection, couple of words about how all it started and what you can expect. In 2020, just before the COVID pandemic hit the world, I was pondering some kind of a nice article for the Wargamers when this special season of the year is coming, the Christmas time, end of the year, late December. And I thought, wow, why not to recommend and share my impressions with the guys and provide them with some suggestions. And that is how it started. First of all, kind of inspiration was the picture you can see now when I'm saying this word from my wife of a Christmas tree created from Commands, Colors, Ancients blocks. I thought, oh, what a nice present. What a nice recommendation for a present also, because Ancients is very well known for you, dear readers of my blog and listeners, subscribers of my YouTube channel. It's one of my definitely favorite games. So since 2020, every year I started to create those articles. What you can expect and how I approached this, that's also important. I usually create two materials. In the first one, I'm focusing on the current year releases. So all the fresh titles in the conflict and the wargame industry. There are so many new titles, so many new releases, so many new continuations of a series or sometimes reprints of the old games, but it's enough base to propose 3, 4, sometimes 5 great titles. Again, only those which I played. As you can see, in the past years, some great titles were on this blog and were actually proposed here. The other material which I'm creating is so-called all-time classics. Here I mainly focus on the games I played in the past and still playing, usually some game series like Commands and Colors, like Counterinsurgency, like Levy and Campaign, like some specific solo games, which always would be a good choice when you think about the Christmas presents. Those titles, how to say, do not get old, or with the time we appreciate more and more how good designs these were. Today's material will not be focusing on those. Today's material will be focusing on the new releases. However, the one which will be published in 2 weeks definitely will cover that group. Okay, is it everything what I have prepared for dear subscribers of my YouTube channel and readers of the blog? Of course not. We have various traditions connected to coming Christmas, and of course content creators like me have theirs too. For me, these are Christmas greetings to all dear readers and subscribers in the format of a puzzle. This is something which I'm usually preparing around Christmas Eve, and this greeting is traditionally built in a form of a puzzle from the game components. Your task will be try to guess as many as possible. You will be able to click on the image which I will create on my blog to have a better view. And many of the titles which I will use for this coming puzzle were released this year, but there are also some classics from the many years ago. Those two videos, so my suggestions for the presents from the current year and from the all-time classics, will be a great help for you in this. So guys, stay tuned around December 24th for this great, Christmas tradition, at least in my case, because I believe it's a really great fun to get greetings in that way. Now, without further ado and delay, let us have a look at selection I prepared for you. This will be 6 games which were published this year, which I played personally, all of them, some of them many times, some of them only several, and which made a great impression on me, which are available and I believe could be a very good Christmas present. So let's jump to it. Number one for me is Burning Banners, Rage of the Witch Queen, which was designed by Christopher Müller and published from the Compass Games. Honestly guys, if you at least read from time to time my blog or watch my videos, you should not be surprised. This is the game which made tremendous impression on me due to many facts, and I really strongly believe this would be one of the greatest presents you can do to your colleagues and other fellow board gamers or war gamers. Before I will explain why, maybe a couple of words about the game itself, because maybe some of you have only heard about this title and think, okay, interesting, but what is it? In essence, this is a fantasy war game. This is for the 2 to 6 players. It's really fast playing and pretty intuitive, and features the whopping 29 scenarios of various size, length and complexity. They range from the very short campaigns for the 2 kingdoms on one map up to the entire 12 years war, with the Witch King, which will be spanning 6 kingdoms over 4 maps. You can play with the basic rules, you can play with advanced rules, and you have 6 factions: goblins, orcs, army of the knights, so the undead, and the Witch King, dwarves, Fjordland, so Fjordland is like Vikings, and also Eastern Empire. This really allows for the endless joy. Now, my impressions of the game and why I'm putting this game on this list. When I was thinking about my play so far, the most important feature and the most important impression is simply this game is enormous fun to play. Simple like this. Enormous fun to play. Enjoyable, whether you win or you lose. Even if you lose, you will have your moments when you hit the opponents heavily. So, and you have a lot of satisfaction with playing it. So, astonishingly fun to play. We have a lot of scenarios here. We have like 17, 18, something like this scenarios, which are, smaller ones. The game has 4 maps, and out of those 4 maps, we create 1, 2, or 4 map, player areas, and those initial 18 scenarios rather play on the smaller, smaller maps like 1, 2. We have also the 10 big, large scenarios, which are played on the 4 maps, and which shows the epic campaign during the war. So you can find, depending on how much time you have and how many players you have, every setup you would like. So from 2 to 6 players, from 1 map to 4 maps, from 1 hour scenario to many hours scenario. Even this war, which is like a campaign consisting of 10 years, you can play each year separately. You can play 2 years together, 3 years together. The game is set up in such a way that you simply take conditions, the starting conditions from the 1 year, and the ending condition of the year till when you would like to play. Something which is simply striking and enormously beautiful is the graphic of the contents of the game. This is simply mind-blowing. Most of this, or if not all of this, is hand done, hand painted, hand drawn by the Christopher, and it's simply looking beautiful, delicious, and really makes a fantasy wargame. I would like to underline this fantasy wargame a great fun. All those orcs, goblins, Eastern Kingdom, fighters, the mighty dwarves, the ferocious Vikings. Look simply at those counters and the map. It's really fun to play such title. In the end, it's a really light dice juggler which you can handle in the base game. But the true beauty is with the advanced game, when the monsters, heroes, magic, spells, treasures, blessings, all of the stuff comes to play, and you have many various options to bring this strategy of yours to fruition. Are there any drawbacks of this game? It might drag for too long with a bit too much downtime in the larger scenarios for many players with advanced rules, but usually if you play with 4 guys, it should be completely okay. And of course you can also play the larger scenarios for many players with basic rules to make it quicker. Yep, this is what we have here, and I believe this game deserves, and hopefully will have also expansions, because there's plenty of ways you can further bring great content and great stuff here. So proposition number 1, Burning Banners from the Compass Games, definitely a wonderful present for the Christmas. Proposal number 2. Proposal number 2 will be Rebel Fury, a game designed by Mark Herman and published by GMT Games. This is a pretty fresh design of Mark Herman, which focuses on the American Civil War. This is low to moderate complexity war game, and in the volume 1, because we'll have more volumes, we are focusing on 4 battles, 4 campaigns from 1863. These are namely Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville, Chickamauga and Chattanooga. And we'll have also 2 battles from the opening of Grant's 1864 drive toward Richmond. This will be the Wilderness and the Spotsylvania Courthouse. What I really appreciate here that there are a lot of interesting new mechanics in this game. First and foremost is that each scenario has a separate set of counters. Each map accommodates 2 battles. So you can really set up very quickly the game, and you can play like 3 scenarios concurrently even. The density of counters in each of the scenarios is pretty low, allowing you to see and experience really the big picture of the battle. And the units are portrayed usually at the infantry cavalry division level. I appreciate very much those new and innovative mechanics, but especially goes for the movement and attack part of the game. You are really not limited here and can perform those actions virtually as many times as you would like. Of course, barring few conditions and what your opponent will do. Still, I really like that there is no usual I go, you go, I go, you go. It's more like, I'm moving here a bit, you're moving there, and maybe if you pass, I still have some additional moves, and if you passed, let's say, prematurely, I will have more moves like this. There is also a simple and pretty intuitive zone of influence, zone of control system. It really nicely reflects the battle dynamics. I haven't seen something like this so far, honestly. It's based on the proximity to the enemy and allows for much bigger movement, maneuver rate when you are far away from the front line, and of course much reduced when you're close to the opponent. Very intuitive and nicely mechanically implemented. We are of course used to GMT providing a very high quality of components, so this is also true here. The maps are wonderful, beautiful. When I was looking at this, yeah, really was astonished. The counters are a bit simplistic, I might say. I might, expect a bit more details, but still they are very, very functional. So the overall, let's say, impression is very positive. Now, one needs to note and really appreciate how much content we are getting in this one box. These are 6 battles, 3 maps, set of counters for each and every engagement separately. Plus, of course, a rulebook and some additional player aids. All in all, very enjoyable experience. Also at the very reasonable cost. This is important. And allowing you to learn some new system and a new spark of genius from Mark Herman. So definitely one of the good presents for the Christmas and definitely something with which you can surprise your fellow board gamers, friends, colleagues, or maybe you can suggest to your wife or spouse or whoever is asking you what you would like to get with this. Yeah. So this is also, of course, an option. Okay, proposal number 3. It will be Traces of Hubris, a game designed by Tetsuya Nakamura and published by VUCA Simulations. If I say VUCA, stay tuned for the beautiful components and, of course, beautiful maps for the Wargames. What's Traces of Hubris? First of all, this is the second game in a series which we are getting from VUCA Simulations of the games sharing pretty similar mechanics of a cheat pool, battle, supply, and so on. This particular game is a 2-player game that simulates the German Case Blue, so Fallblau, summer offensive in southern Russia during the second half of 1942. Otherwise, this is the battle, the operations which led to the Stalingrad, siege and then counter-attack by the Soviets. The goal was to cut off the Volga at Stalingrad and, of course, to capture the Caucasus oil fields. The Axis player, I'm saying Axis because these are Germans and the minor satellites, must eliminate the Soviet forces and break their defensive lines because they have to reach their objectives. On the other hand, Soviet player must do everything to defend the homeland and hold until he gets a pretty significant reinforcements and a chance to strike back. As said, the game uses the same core mechanics as its predecessor, Traces of War. And this title really follows the footsteps of Traces of War. And I enjoyed this, previous installment immensely. Thanks to many areas which I would like to stipulate now. First of all, the rule book is pretty straightforward. So the rules are well explained. There are no ambiguities. There is no errata. There is very few questions on the Board Game Geek. And at the same time, they create pretty wide tactical and strategical choices. Another thing, which is of course important, is theme. The historical topic is very interesting. Sorry, but I can play many games about Stalingrad. Each and every one of them shows it in a slightly different manner, but still I'm really interested in this. The cheat pool mechanism is great. It has at least 2 things which I appreciate. First of all, this is enormously solo-friendly title because the only decision you need to make is which cheats out of your supply you will use in particular turn. Another thing is that it really drives replayability of the game because now no 2 games are similar. You have some elements like initial attack of the Germans in the first turn by one of the armies, of course. But what will happen next? what cheat will be first? Maybe it will be Soviet reinforcement, so they will manage to reinforce the line before the initial hit by the Germans. Or maybe you will get the cheat of the army which just attacked and can simply drive through already weakened Russians. You never know, and this is really cool. Also, the cheat pool mechanism influences how much risk you take, because there is a supply cheat somewhere in the cup, and when you draw it, you check supply for both sides. So you might go forward with the hope, okay, I have one more activation, but I have also supply cheat in the cup. So whichever will be first will really be important for me. Anyhow, guys, I really like it and really appreciate how that works. The game, as already said, is astonishingly beautiful, elegant, with a pre-rounded counters, with a beautiful mounted player aids, with a nice map, big, large map, and simply is fun to play. Unlike Traces of War, I have a feeling that this gives a lot of fun to both sides, because at some moment in time the Soviets are getting so many reinforcements that it's their time to strike back. One thing which I would like to see additionally, and probably thanks to the fans who will get it, is additional scenarios to this game, because at this moment in time we have only the main large scenario which starts in June, but I would like to see, I don't know, Russian Operation Uranus, for example, or maybe the final push in September towards Stalingrad by the Germans. At least 2 more scenarios would be great fun to have. So definitely strongly recommended. Again, a very good economy option, because price is really decent, great content, great value to cost. Highly recommend. The next game on my proposed list of Christmas presents will be A Jest of Robin Hood, a game designed by Fred Serval and published from GMT Games. What is it? First of all, this is a 2-player game. This is kind of a coin adjacent game, because it uses some of the coin mechanics disguised, under the very nice naming convention and the, rules and setup and components, and it's kind of a very entry game to the coin world. Of course, we'll have here possibility to lead the legendary character Robin Hood and his merry men against the evil Sheriff of Nottingham and his henchmen. Or we can do it the other way around and try to capture the legendary Robin Hood. It's really an interesting game, and I have really positive impressions with it. Would like also to share and explain why I'm putting this on the list and suggesting as a Christmas present. Definitely, and this is something which I will repeat, but I would like to make a statement, is a great and ideal entry point to the coin system and this new irregular conflict series, which GMT is creating. There are 2 players, there is relatively low complexity, this is a fast, quick, paced game with a limited, a number of exceptions and additional rules. On the other hand, this game brings some new, unique mechanisms, mainly in the hidden move segment. There are 2 areas. First of all, the location of Robin Hood is unknown to the sheriff. When the merry men are hidden, you simply don't know, as a sheriff, which of those merry men is actually the Robin Hood. There's also the second element of a hidden movement mechanic. This is the carriages. So the sheriff is looting, plundering, or taxing, call it whatever you want, the parishes across the Nottinghamshire, and then transports them to Nottingham city. However, Robin Hood does not know which kind of carriage is it. It might be treasury, it can be some huge tax carriage, or it might be a trap with some henchmen hidden. There will be also interesting mechanic of the random encounters with the travelers. As a Robin Hood, you can try to rob the carriages, but you can also try to rob the travelers, and very much streamlined sequence of play. The game is fast, the game is pretty straightforward, so you can play both sides within one evening, so game and rematch, and as I said, pretty decent way to reach much broader audience with our beloved game, because I think theme of Robin Hood is so well known and resonates very positively across the world that I hope many more people will get into our games. And on the other hand, it's not too complicated to simply scare them off. So really good entry level coin game. And also, if you never dared to play coin games, it might be a very good starting point, which I would recommend. Time to talk now about another great discovery of 2024 for me. That is about Arcs, Conflict and Collapse in the Reach. This is a game designed by Cole Huerle and published by Leather Games. Probably you heard a bit about it, but just to quickly nail down the main concepts of the game. This is a sci-fi strategy, a sharp sci-fi strategy game for 2 to 4 players. It is set in a dark yet funny universe. I like this description. We have to be prepared for many dramatic twists and turns of events as we launch ourselves into a true galactic struggle for domination. And how we'll be playing? We'll be seizing the initiative and then dictating the game tempo. By declaring ambitions and scoring points, we'll be getting closer to the victory. And of course, we'll have to crush our foes, which will be standing in our path. Not that we do not like them, but simply it gives the points. These are exactly the arcs. I had finally a chance to play this fantastic game. I was a bit late to the pack. A lot of players played it at the beginning of early in the year, yeah. But I'm really glad that it hit our table. Is it a mean game? Of course it is. You play, you plan how to get the points at the expense of opponents. Is it an engrossing game? Definitely. I got hooked from the start and played it already many times. Will I play more? Definitely. What I like, first of all, a trick tracking mechanism. The way how you grab the initiative and then dictate the conditions of the round, and the people who are without this have to adjust to what card was played, what value and what suit of the card was played by the person with initiative. It's a really nice way of limiting what you can do and how much you can do. I like the scoring mechanism. So there are ambitions, 5 of them, and at the beginning of the round you don't know exactly for which you will be scoring. It's up to you, mainly the people with the initiative, to define what kind of ambition will be the highest value points during the round. Interestingly, you have those 3 victory points markers which you can use to attribute to the particular ambition, and you can attribute more than 1 victory points, counter to the particular ambition. I like how those victory points counters also increase in value, so the farther you go in the game, it really accelerates and speeds up toward the conclusion. Already in the base game, we are getting a very nice, I would say even great, lore and leaders expansion, which makes each and every game unique and asymmetrical. All the leaders will have some positive traits and some unfortunately negative flaws. The lore will help you with some specific elements of a game, be it battle, be it taxing, building, influencing. We don't have only in this game the element of, space faring, building, taxing, fighting. But we have also the court where we will be getting some specific cards which will be influencing what our faction can do. Really, really cool and really interesting. Coming back for a moment to lore and leaders, I like the way also how you distribute those among the players, because you will have several cards presented to the players, plus one the number of players. You will be choosing one, and the others will be choosing one card. Then during the second round you will have option to choose whatever you have not chosen in the first. If you have chosen a leader in the first round, you will be choosing the lore. So it balances the way the combination of a leader and lore is built for this not to be too powerful. The game is beautiful, very nice component, very nicely produced. I like the graphics, and just like with Root, don't be misled. This game, although looking beautiful, have some very negative interactions. I read a lot on the internet about how mean this game is. I played with my regular wargame buddies. For us it was normal, but I believe for the casual players, for Eurogame players, it might be sometimes a very very interesting experience of how nasty you have to be toward co-players in order to score the victory points. Last but not least, if you will get the campaign expansion, you will have also very interesting experience playing through, I believe, 3 chapters, which will have impact one on another. So that way you are not having only one scenario game, but with several interconnected. All in all, highly recommended. Call Digit again created a completely new design with a new mechanics and a design which you start to appreciate the more you play. You discover those combinations, you discover how the game leads you through building a proper let's say capabilities of your faction and empire, and then how to strike in the proper moment, because seizing the initiative, which can be costly, is a key element of the game. Highly recommended. Let us have a look at the last game in this material. That will be Manila, The Savage Streets 1945. This is a game designed by Michael Rinella and published by Revolution Games and Take Aim Designs. This is actually second game in the series, which is called Solitary Area Movement series. The first one was Stalingrad, and actually also landed last year on my list of the proposed Christmas presents. Manila, as the name stipulates, puts the player in charge of the attacking and definitely far more mobile American side, while the game system handles the defending and largely static Japanese side. It happens all during February and March of 1945, and this is the return of Douglas MacArthur to Manila, what he promised Japanese 3 years ago, before this events. Each turn presents really new and unique challenges for the players, because you have random events, you have uncertainty of supply deliveries, and unknown Japanese area strengths, because you will be in a random way putting them on the map. This is a solitary game, very enjoyable, and you need to achieve your target, your goal, in a 9-turn campaign. And the deeper you advance, the more ferocious the battle will be, because you will start to hit much more difficult terrain, like some forts, urban areas, which are of course more difficult than the open, clear, or even hill area. A lot of American units will be fought to exhaustion, effectively out of action, and some of them even killed. and it depends on you and the determination of the Supreme Allied Commander General Douglas MacArthur to reach the goal. And if your morale drops, of course, you will be in jeopardy in this area. As Mike Rinella says, he loves designing games which are quicker to play than some of the titles are to set up. So this game is definitely quick to play, although not overly short. Yeah, not overly short. There are a couple of things which I really like. First of all, the challenging AI. When I have an urge to try and to beat my result. Guys, it's not easy to win in this game. Even replicating what the US forces achieved is hard to do, because US forces achieved something which is below the maximum what you can get in the game. Yeah, so you have two areas: the historical result and the total victory. And total victory is definitely above the historical result. What I also like is the components quality. Just like with the Stalingrad, here we are getting the mounted map, beautiful counters, great player aids, the really easy to read, not glossy rulebook. I like it and appreciate it. There is, a lot of optional rules which you can use for the game once you go the first time through it, to make it more, on one side challenging, on the other enjoyable, on the third, more accurate, or putting more stress to the details. It's something which also influences the replayability of game, of course. I was thinking about one more area, because you roll a lot of dice in this game, and I was thinking, okay, is it dice first? Not necessarily. You have a lot of ways to limit the randomness factor, or let's say influence how much risk you would like to do. You have all those additional supplies and tools like artillery, engineers, airplanes. You can save supplies from turn to turn. That means that if you would like to hit hard, you will be able, and you will most of the times win. It's the areas where you don't have enough support, where you need to make a calculated risk and decide whether you would like to attack here, or maybe simply back down. Overall, the game made a pretty positive impression on me, and I simply like it. This was fun to play, fun, to touch the components, to move them on the map, to set some targets and try to achieve them. Also, the game is enough different from Stalingrad with all the new rules that it plays differently, and this is important for me. This is simply not a replication of the system one-to-one, but completely new design. What is more, I'm looking forward to the third game in the series, which will be telling us the story of the Berlin being besieged in April and May 1945. And again, we'll get some new rules, new tweaks, new solutions. Can't wait to see this. Highly recommended. Okay guys, that's all from me for today. Thank you very much for watching this material. Thank you for being with me. I hope that the proposed titles will be kind of an inspiration for you for the Christmas presents which you can make to your friends, or ask your beloved ones to make for yourself. All 6 titles which I stipulated today and listed are great fun. I played all of them. I spent a really fantastic time, whether it was for free to or solitary play mode, and really can vouch for them. I will be coming back to you with another material in 2 weeks about the all-time classics. Today we focus only on 2024 releases, so even more inspirations are awaiting you. That's all for today. Thank you very much for watching and being with me. If you like this video, as always, kindly please give thumbs up. And if you like to be up to date with the content from the Boardgames Chronicle, kindly please subscribe. Every subscription counts for such a small content creator like the Boardgames Chronicle. Thank you once again, and thanks for watching.